I'm Ted Koppel, and this episode of Ear Hustle contains very explicit language. Please be advised, this may not be for every listener.
How do you make a fifi?
What the hell is that?
What is a fifi?
I have no clue.
Have you ever heard of a fifi?
Yeah, I heard of PV. Yeah, my celly used to have one a long time ago.
Yeah.
That fool had a couple of them, actually.
You're now tuned in to San Quentin's Ear Hustle from PRX's Radiotopia. I'm Earlonne Woods. I'm incarcerated here at San Quentin State Prison in California.
I'm Nigel Poor, a visual artist who volunteers at the prison.
And together, we're going to take you inside. Today on the podcast, we're talking about looking good and feeling good in prison.
Earlonne, when I first came to prison, honestly, I expected everybody to be really scruffy.
Scruffy?
Sorry.
Like a little dog or something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. But the thing is, I was wrong.
Hell yeah, you were wrong.
I know. And I was really shocked because guys take great care of themselves.
Of course we do.
They're really well put together.
Of course we are.
And a lot of guys, not every guy, but a lot of guys are in really good shape.
Getting there.
And don't give up, B. And they obviously think about their hair, their skin, their clothes.
We do. And in prison, it takes extra effort. You can't just go to the local mall. You can't go to the barbershop. You can't go to the shoe shine spot. There's a lot you can't do.
Yeah, and it's not trivial stuff. Inside or outside, looking good is important to feeling good about yourself.
That's right. There's a lot that can get you down in here, like long days, bad food, no women. One way to show yourself and everyone else that prison doesn't own you is to look your best. It's self-respect, self-preservation. So that's what we're going to hear about on this episode. How do guys do it? How do you keep your clothes looking sharp?
How do you keep your skin clear?
How do you get a good haircut?
And also we're going to hear about what some guys do to escape this place in their minds.
And how to make a fifi.
You know, people are going to wonder what a fifi is. Even some guys in here are going to wonder.
Let them wonder. We'll get to old fifi later in the podcast.
Okay, so let me ask you something more mundane.
What's up?
I've heard there's a specific way in prison you have to brush your teeth. You don't spit into the sink.
Yeah, in prison, you're living in these cramped quarters, so you want to keep the germs at a minimum, so you spit the foam in the toilet.
What happens if you spit in the sink?
It's very disrespectful and very uncleanly.
So you're saying at home my sink is really dirty?
No, I mean, it's just you and your partner probably.
Yeah.
You know, and here it's you and a stranger.
What else is different about brushing your teeth?
Well, if you can afford it, you can buy some toothpaste and a nice toothbrush. But if you can't afford it, you get a flimsy toothbrush from the state and some tooth powder.
Oh, tooth powder. You mean like baking soda?
Not even baking soda. It's like crushed up chalk.
What's it do for the breath?
Nothing at all. Hey, but it'll buff your teeth. It's the
Steam?
polish.
It's the polish.
It's prison polish.
Okay, so keeping your teeth clean is different in prison, and so is getting the wrinkles out of your clothes, which is something you're going to want to do on visiting day, right?
Yeah. Visiting day are pretty much on the weekends, and there are few irons in a housing unit. 2 irons for like 800 people, you know what I'm saying? So you might not get your chance. But, as always, there's a workaround, and Jason Jones laid it out for you.
That he did.
Or did he iron it out for you?
He did.
So if you don't have an iron, right, you use any kind of comb, right? And what you do is lay your pants onto the bed, and you get the back of the comb, and you press hard and just straighten it all the way out, and it creates the crease, right? creates the crease. You can do that with your shirt and everything. And then you unroll your mat at night and put it up under your mat and just, while you sleep on top of it. So in the morning when you wake up, it's freshly creased.
Do you have to like dampen them or anything?
No, you don't have to dampen them. You can, but you don't have to.
Wow.
Yes.
All you need is a comb and a mattress.
What works even better if you get some floor wax and you put it on the crease as you ironing it out with the comb, as you pressing it out with the comb, then it locks it in the crease. Yes, it even gives it like a shine.
All right, Erlan. So your pants and your shirt are looking nice and crispy. But if it's visiting day and your hair's a mess, what are your options?
Well, there's a lot of guys in here who cut hair, but if you really want to look sharp, you do what I did and shoot the shit with Big Zoe out on the yard.
Big Zoe's barbershop.
Yeah, that's Zoe Barbershop.
Right now we're out on the patio. Come out here. While you're waiting, you can play some basketball, you can play tennis. I even got horseshoes for you.
And you can get shitted on by seagulls sitting in the chair.
And all are welcome. Don't matter what type of hair you have, what race you are, I do it all. I cut white, black, Hispanic, Asian, curly, wiry, thin, nappy, wavy. I cut them all. Yeah, I'm about to give him a high top fade.
No.
He gonna look like a Marine when I get through
No, I
with
don't
him.
want no high top fade. Every time people look at my hair after you done,
They salute.
they say how a good job my barber is.
Shooting the crap for a minute, cutting their hair and getting them out to work looking fresh. It makes a person feel good, you know. You feel good making them look good, and they walk out looking good, so they feel good. And if you don't feel good, then I don't look good.
Have you ever fucked somebody up?
I fucked you up before.
Yeah, you did. That's why I said that.
Yeah. And boy, was he hot. But I keep telling him, you can't sit there and talk and dictate what I do while I got the clippers in your beard. What's wrong with you?
No. Tell the truth. He used to cut my hair, right? And I used to walk around and he used to get customers. It wasn't his haircut,
pissed
it was
off
mine.
right now because that dude had a bad-ass beard and afro.
Oh, man, I thought I was the billboard.
Shut up. Look at you, boy. You got as handsome as me. Almost.
Erlan, you still have that beard, but what happened to the afro?
Well, I gained weight, and the afro for me, it made me look bigger.
Are you sure? It seems like it would balance you out.
Hell nah. If I cut the beard, I'd really look skinny.
All right. So that's the clothes and hair. Now let's talk about skin.
Right.
Guys in here have no wrinkles. I mean, I am serious. You can talk to a guy who's 60 and honestly he looks like 40. How?
Well, there's a saying that prison preserves you. Maybe it's you don't see that much sun. I don't know. But prison do have a guy named Bucci who feels he makes a soap that preserves your youth. Nicola Bucci has been in San Quentin for 4 years.
Yep, I heard about him and got him to come down into the media lab to explain how he started making his soap back when he was in LA County before he got to San Quentin.
I grew up working in the kitchen. I'm a chef, so I like making things, right? One day I was looking, I had saved up about maybe 5 to 10 bars of state soap. It was just white soap that they issue. And
The soap he's talking about, the state issue soap, they're little itty bitty bars.
Like motel soap.
Pretty much.
But guys can also buy hygiene stuff at the canteen.
Yeah, you can buy better soap. You know, acne medicine, deodorant, lotion. You can buy all that kind of stuff.
so one day my creative mind said, well, you know what? I can take this dial soap, grind it up, and mix it in with the state soap, and then I'll have 5 dial soaps versus 1 dial soap, and I'll maximize my costs.
But wait, how did you make them?
Well, see, you grind up the state soap. There was a little stool that you had in the cell, and it had kind of a sharp edge, so I would grind the soap on the edge of the stool, shave the soap down into a big pile of soap shavings. And I was like, well, how am I going to mix it? I can't just use water. And I said, well, I can use lotion. That could be my binding agent. I knew.
Remember that on the outside, he was a chef who also did a lot of baking.
It's a kneading technique where you're folding. So what I did was I used that same technique to make soap. So I formed them into bars, which were probably 2 inches by 3 inches. And it was uncharted territory. Didn't even know what to call it. And I was looking at it, and I showed my celly my product after I had made all these bars. And he says, that looks like a Bucci bar.
So far, so good, right? Then Bucci started getting creative.
I'm pretty familiar with good hygiene. So to make it an effective acne bar, you need something to exfoliate the skin. We used to get oranges, and I would take the orange zest and I would cut it up and I would let it dry out in the windowsill for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it would be pretty stiff. And then I would make these orange acne bars. So at the top of the production line of the Bucci bars in the county jail, we had orange acne zest bars, orange cranberry bar, there'd be dried apples, there'd be dried mangoes. We were able to get oats. And so I made an oatmeal raisin Bucci bar. It was soap. You can clean your body with it.
What were the raisins for?
Well, to give you, to make some contrast, right? So
So what was the reaction from guys?
There was a guy who was a young guy, and I gave him a Bucci bar, and he looked at it and he's like, oh, thank you. And so the next day we were out in day room, and he says, I actually tried eating it. I said, you big dummy. It says soap right on he says, I didn't even read it. He said, it looks so good and tasty. And I was like, wow. Literally, he washed his mouth out with soap.
Bucci spent 2.5 years in the LA County jail, and he said he produced thousands of Bucci bars.
Man, that is a lot of work.
It takes a lot to keep your appearances up.
Yep, and that's what we're talking about today. What guys do in here to look good and feel good. And I wanted to talk to someone else at San Quentin about this who doesn't identify as male.
You're talking about Lady J.
Mm-hmm. Jarvis Jovan Clark, a.k.a. Lady J. And she already identified as a woman when she came to San Quentin around 2013.
And back then, the catalogs prisoners ordered from didn't used to carry the kind of things she wanted.
So I noticed now in the catalog, there's now a transgender section.
Yes.
Before there was. I'm curious about how did you do some of the things you needed to do to be a woman? Like, for example, before you could buy makeup, like how did you do those things in prison?
Okay, so prior to us being able to purchase real cosmetics, fabulous, out of the catalog, we had to become prison chemists and had to make our own makeup. So you take a plastic razor, right? You burn the razor and you let the vapors go up. And you hold up a piece of paper and let all that black vapor get on the paper, right? Soot. So then after the soot get on it, you take white toothpaste, because white toothpaste is the only one that work. The blues and the ones with the little breath mints don't work. You will hurt yourself. So you take plain white toothpaste, you mix it up with a dab of little grease, right? You mix it up until you get like a paste consistency, and then you just apply it to your eyes. And the way you apply it, you take an old toothbrush or a new one if you balling like that, and you just brush your eyelids. And the more you apply, the longer your eyelashes get. And then for the shadow, the lipstick, and the rouge, you can do many ways. You can take a magazine that has a high content of pigment on the paper, and you can just shave the colors off the paper. Right? And you mix that with a little bit of water, not just a drop, and you mix that become your shadow, your lips, and your rouge. Or you can go get chalk. That give you any color you want. Lime, yellow, pink, purple, red. See, I look fabulous in red because they say I got Betty Boop lips.
We're going to hear more from Lady J later in the season, and she's got an interesting take on this very macho, very male institution.
Betty Boo Lips.
Betty Boop. From just the word, what do you think it might be?
Fifi. Wow. Huh.
Who's Fifi? I would take it Fifi short for Felicia, Fatima.
I honestly don't know. I have no clue. I can't even guess.
Okay. Glove in the sock. You ever heard of that?
Lock in the sock.
No, see, he went violent.
No, I'm just saying that's the closest thing I'm hearing.
You in the cell by yourself and you got a Fifi.
Huh? Like a magazine?
You getting warm.
Okay, so here's a question. We're talking about looking good and feeling good. And one way to feel good is to stay connected with your friends. But in prison, that's not always possible.
Nah, we're locked in our cells at night. And when there's a lockdown, you might not get out for weeks. So if you want to communicate with someone in your cell block, you gotta go fishing.
Yeah, Earlonne, I've heard about this, but I've never really understood how it works.
Fishing is like a fishing pole. If you can think of a fishing pole.
Mm-hmm.
A fishing pole got a string on it with a weight on the end of it, and you just reach back and you throw it into the water and it just go. But instead of a lake, it's down the tier, cement slab. But let's let Jesse Vasquez break it down.
Yeah, so fishing is a form of communication. It's instead of yelling from, 10 cells away, it's easier to just write a note and then put it inside a little cart and then just push it out your door and then have them pull it in. And then that's the way we used to communicate.
For an outsider, it's hard to imagine just how exactly this works. So I asked Jesse to explain the technique, which he had to learn when he first got to prison.
And then I found out that I could fish next door by wrapping a piece of soap, in a plastic, in the chip bag, the one that looked like aluminum, so you put a soap in there because it glides on the floor easily. So you tie it to a piece of string and then you're able to swing it next door. But if you want to travel 10 cells down the tier, it's like, man, now you need some ingenuity. So you get the toothpaste tube, the Colgate. The tube has to weigh enough to where when you push it, you'll propel it all the way, down the tier so that somebody else can pull it in. And then you put your little, like a staple or a paper clip at the front of it. So then you can grab onto somebody else's line. And then once you get it ready, then you just kind of aim in the direction you want to go and just, as long as you can get it onto the tier, somebody else can fish you in to their cell. And then they'll pull you in and then tie you onto somebody else, and that'll help you get further along the way.
How do you let them know the fish is coming?
Oh, you just let them know that you're gonna throw your line out. So you scream down the tier one time, excuse me, hey, I'm gonna send my line down. And then he says, all right, shoot it. And then once he gets it, then you just tell him one time if you only have one, item on there, 2 times if you got 2 things on your line. Sometimes you want to send a burrito. Sometimes you want to send a note.
No, you can't send a burrito.
Of course you can. You put it in a trash bag and then you smash it down and then whoop, it goes out. Once your fish line is out there, then you can just fish burritos, soup, a spread, all kind of stuff.
What if a CO sees what you're doing?
A lot of times it's prohibited. We're not really supposed to be fishing. But sometimes, they figure it's just a part of what we're doing. And as long as it's not like drink, because I remember times when there was guys fishing alcohol, like homemade Pruno and stuff like that. And that was funny to me because it's like, man, you must be a real alcoholic to be fishing some, homemade Pruno.
So when was the last time you fished?
I haven't fished in years. I probably lost my license.
So he mentioned Pruno, and that brings us to a way of feeling good that may not be kosher with prison officials. Earlonne, I heard that in your younger days, a long, long time ago, you knew someone who made Pruno.
You ain't heard nothing like that, Nigel.
But I'm sure you never had it, right?
Nah, not at all. Never. But I can tell you how it's made.
All right, share that.
So you can do like this here. You get some fruit. You can chop up this fruit, or you can grate it up and you got it in the bag. Squeeze. You're gonna need sop. Throw some ketchup in there with the fruit. A little bit of electricity, man. Close it up and let it start nose like burn. So you use jelly. And after about 7 days of that process, you good to go.
When's the ketchup come in?
So you use the ketchup for like what I hear a raspy taste. It just give it a different taste in Pruno, because Pruno is an acquired taste.
Yeah, so how does it taste?
I couldn't tell you. Never touched the stuff.
Okay, well, that's one way to escape prison life, at least for a while. Now we're going to hear about another.
A lot of the time there's like the dot tree where might be some paladins in full armor carrying their swords and shields going towards various temples. Sometimes there might be a bard or two playing a guitar or a lute on the side, singing for a few coins.
Season 1 listeners might remember that voice. He was in the episode about the unwritten rules of race.
My name is George Coles L. I am better known as Mesro, the human son, dungeon master, and Magic the Gathering player.
Whenever you see Mesro, he has this really cool deck of cards on him.
Mesro always got a gang of deck of cards on him. And it's really interesting because they're all handmade.
That's right. So he takes a pinochle deck.
Right.
He covers it with plastic sleeves.
A sleeve, yeah.
And then he puts photocopies of
Dungeon Masters or Dungeons and Dragons or wizards or goblins or goons, I don't know.
Yeah, and you know the other thing is they look beautiful because they're so weathered, he's touching them all the time, so they're super worn in, and you can just tell they've been handled thousands of times. They've got a personality.
And the crazy part is he walks around with them all the time.
Yeah, I keep a deck with me all the time because we have a standing rule. See, a Magic the Gathering game can happen at any time. So if somebody comes up and they pull out their deck and you don't have yours, that's a loss. Once the game starts, like the San Quentin environment kind of fades away. We're sitting in there now trying to figure out how we're going to stop this evil queen from destroying the world, or trying to find an artifact that's going to help save an enslaved race. So a lot of the time, we don't really think about, okay, there's a bunch of dirt under our feet. We get transported to a place where we can be heroes.
That's what I want to know. Where are you transported to? Describe to me what that transported world looks like.
A lot of the time, hamlets and towns in Dungeons and Dragons games are usually set in places of wilderness. So around them, there's, rolling hills, tall trees, the occasional dragon flying by, sun blazing in the sky. Maybe there might be a couple of clouds there. Around you, you might see the castle of the queen or whatever monarch is in the background. There's usually horse-drawn carriages. Some of them are selling medicine out of the back of them. Some of them are snake oil salesmen, so be careful. Don't just go buying just anything. You might end up buying some water in the name of some tonic. But most of the time, they're just people who are walking by and being friendly to each other. Off in another part of the distance, there might be some farmland there where people are, tilling their rows and making sure they're having crops for the season before the harvest happens.
So I went over to one of the games, and I go through there. I just stop through because Mesro might acknowledge me and give me dap. And I sit there for a minute, and I'm just looking down at a board. It's nothing but a white plastic sheet with some black marker on it, and it's maybe a dot or two and some lines. And so I'm sitting here, and I'm listening, and it's just going over my head. So, Mesro, how would you lure me into this?
Let's see. So, we'll say you're this traveling man from the great metropolitan city of Los Angelesville. It's massive. It's got a giant castle in the middle of it, right, sitting on top of a pyramid. We're right here in the marketplace, but you got kids playing football way in the back. All right? What do you do?
Go join that football game.
Okay. So you're back behind this guy, and he's calling out the plays, right? He's calling out, Cyclops 32! Cyclops 32! Hut! And when the ball gets into his hands, right over the hill, a giant Cyclops comes walking up. He's got this great big horned head, kind of like a unicorn's horn, except it's tilted and it's broken at the end. And he says, "I'm Iridates. Many travels I've had. I see a bunch of scrambling lads. I need to eat the three of you and then take over your crown. So try not to kick on the way down. And he proceeds to chase all of you all playing football. What do?
Wake up. You got the lotion.
You ever heard of a Fifi bag in prison?
Yeah, I heard of a Fifi bag when I first came in 1983. It was some brothers came down from Soledad, right? And he said, come on, Dirty Man, let's go to the day room, man. I said, okay. He said, wait a minute, let me grab my Fifi bag. I said, grab your what? He said, my Fifi bag. He said, man, that's that bag, man. You know, you'll put some baby oil in it with some hot water. I said, what the hell?
Oh, wow, this is some perverted stuff, huh?
They told me you got couple
you mean
different
they
kinds.
told me?
Well, because my boy had one, but he said they got different because they got the kind they make in YA, then they got the kind they make in the pen. He said it's different. But the one he had, he made out of towel. He had a towel, and he had a glove. Yeah, he had a glove wrapped around the towel, and he put Vaseline. Well, he had baby oil on his, but he said like some people put Vaseline in them. No, I ain't never actually had one myself.
Come on, man.
No, he had a couple of them joints.
If the police come in the cell and they find two Fifis, you know one yours, right?
I don't know, man. I was young, man. So I didn't even really think about it. I had just came to the pen. Matter of fact, I just came to prison. Like, I didn't give a shit. Like, I mean, he was doing what he was doing, and he was telling me about. He was like, "Yeah, I mean, this how you do it." Fold the towel back, and he wrapped the glove around it, and he put baby oil. He put baby oil in his, and then he said in the Y, he said they used to put them up to their lights and they heat them up, and that's how I found out about that part. So yeah, so he says to heat them up, man. It'd be like he said that they'll put it like on the end of the bunk, on their mattress, and right there, go to work. That's like, man, that's crazy. Simple way, use the hand. That's too much extra. Yeah, that's all that extra stuff, but getting the glove ready and all that. But it's just weird how people in prison will have like their little pastimes. It's like that's what you doing, and it's crazy because if I was on the streets and I don't think it was weird. I'd be like, man, I like some weird stuff. But hearing people say it in here, it's not weird to me. It's just like that's him doing him.
When we come back after the break, it'll be count time.
That's the post-game part of the podcast when we play a little tape that we think is interesting
or curious
or funny.
We really just want you to hear it.
And this time, we'll have an outtake from today's podcast.
Count time.
Hey, count
Thomas.
9 o'clock.
Haynes.
6-2.
Behind you.
You have no wrinkles. Your skin is...
Seriously, you 56?
No,
I'm
how
really
can you be
56
Your
years old.
skin is flawless. There's no pores. There's no wrinkles. How the hell
Okay,
is your
so
skin so
hold
good?
on, 56, what year? Real quick.
1961.
She's right.
Okay, I know my age. I don't have to lie. Just because I look fabulous don't mean that I'm not that age. So here's the secret. Now, all black people know this secret, especially those that were born in the South.
It's called genes.
Genes is one thing, but when you have a newborn baby in the house, you take their early morning diaper with the pee on it and you just wipe your face with it. And it only takes like maybe once or twice to do this, and your skin will be perpetually young.
So...
Baby pee.
I didn't get the opportunity to do that. Is it too late for me?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It can reverse the sign of aging. Baby pee.
That might be a crime now, though.
It might be. But no, that's an old, ancient thing that my mother and her mother and her mother.
Thanks to everyone who talked to us for this episode. Jesse Vasquez, Andre Yancey, Lady J,
David Jazzy, Wall Street, Jason Jones,
Eric Durr, Mesra El Cole,
and Nicola Bucci.
And if you want to hear more about Bucci's foray into edible granola bars, check out the next episode of The Sporkful. That's a food podcast. And in an upcoming episode, they're playing a special Bucci outtake.
We'd also like to thank Ted Koppel for reading our language advisory at the top of the show.
Yep, he was in here recently to do a piece about ear hustle for CBS Sunday Morning. At the time of this recording, it hasn't aired yet, but if and when it does, and you saw it, and that's why you decided to check us out, thanks and welcome.
Ear Hustle is produced by myself, Earlonne Woods, and Nigel Poor, with help from outside producer Pat Mesiti-Miller, who also comes in to work with the sound design team. This episode was scored with music by David Jazzy, with contributions from Antoine Williams and Lee Jaspar. Our story editor is Curtis Fox, and our executive producer for Radiotopia is Julie Shapiro. And a special shout out to Aaron. Thanks for all your help and support.
Yep, we really appreciated it, and we're going to miss you. We also want to thank Warden Ron Davis, and as you know, every episode has to be approved by this guy here.
This is Lieutenant Sam Robinson at San Quentin State Prison, and I guess I have a problem with just episodes number 3 with this Ear Hustle, because Looking Out, which was Pets in Prison, wasn't my favorite. And thus far, with season 2, this one is not my favorite. But, as usual, I approve this story.
What did we do wrong, Earlonne? Lieutenant did not like that.
Hey, one thing I can say about him, he's tough, but he's real. And we can't please everybody every time.
That's right.
The next episode, though, he hasn't heard it yet, but I think he's going to like it. It's about being a parent from prison.
It was like, man, like, how am I going to be? Like, how am I supposed to show up now? Like, am I supposed to be like his partner? Am I supposed to be like dad? Am I supposed to be like my father? Like, what am I supposed to do,
Ear Hustle is a proud member of Radiotopia from PRX, a collection of the best podcasts around. Hear more at radiotopia.fm.
And if you want to learn more about us, please go to our website, earhustlesq.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter, The Lowdown.
Say, Nudge.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen anyone like Queen Elizabeth, Beyonce, Rihanna, Oprah Winfrey wearing our Ear Hustle t-shirt?
No. I haven't seen anybody yet, and I really hope it happens soon.
So, if you do, will you please post it on social media?
You don't even have to ask, because as soon as I see somebody wearing one, I am posting that.
Well, if that do happens, I cannot see it because we're in prison, we don't have internet access, but you out there can. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Ear Hustle SQ. I'm Earlonne Woods.
And I'm Nigel Poor. Thanks for listening.
It smells bad, and I can't imagine tasting that stuff. I never touched it.
What does it smell like?
It smells like decomposed fruit and feet.
Doesn't sound good.
No.
Radiotopia.